Jumping ahead now to 1965 and the birth of twins Bruce and Brian Raymer. The boys are born healthy except for a condition called phimosis, which affects the foreskin. It was decided incorrectly, it turns out, that the best way to treat this condition was circumcision. But Bruce's procedure went horribly wrong and his penis was essentially burned off of his body. After several months of grasping for answers, Bruce's parents eventually decided to take him to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore to see the renowned Dr. John Money. The good doctor, eager to prove the legitimacy of his theory that gender is a product of environment and culture, recommended that Bruce undergo sex reassignment surgery as a baby. And before the boy turned 2, the deed had been done. His testicles were removed, some crude approximation of female genitalia were formed, and Money instructed the parents to raise him as a girl from that day forward, never tell him about his real identity. So the Raymer parents tried to follow Money's advice, but they found that Bruce was still Bruce, even if they called him Brenda and did everything in their power to preserve his fragile and false female identity. Gender is a construct, they were told. Why should a boy raised as a girl still have boyish tendencies? Yet, his boyishness came through in spite of Money's theories. The boys also attended regular therapy sessions with Money. For quote-unquote therapy, Money sometimes instructed the boys to disrobe and inspect each other's genitals. Sometimes they were made to simulate sex acts on each other. Money explained that this was meant to be healthy sexual exploration. On at least one occasion, nude photographs of the boys were taken. Ultimately, Money was convinced that, his project had been a smashing success, and he bragged of his triumphs in many published works. It was not a success. The female identity never took hold for Bruce, because he wasn't a female. He was confused and miserable. He was on the verge of suicide at the age of 13. Finally, his mother told him the truth. When Bruce heard about this, he chose immediately to transition back to a boy. He took the name of David. He underwent another reassignment surgery, this time to try and reclaim his true self. And he felt better for a time. But neither he nor his twin brother lived happily ever after. Their experience as John Money's lab rats had damaged them irrevocably. David would go on to speak out against Money, at first anonymously and then publicly. His brother did too. Eventually, David even got married, but all was not well. The first twin to kill himself was Brian. In 2002, at the age of 36, the brother who was used as a control group in Money's human experiment took a lethal dose of antidepressants. 2 years later, David drove to a grocery store parking lot with a sawed-off shotgun, shot himself in the head. Their deaths will go down in history as suicides, but they were both murdered by John Money, the father of modern gender theory.